All right, so I'll introduce our third speaker. Vicki was going to speak last, but while we're waiting for Dr. Manyawi, I'm extremely excited to introduce this wonderful lady to you and her beautiful daughter. This is Vicki and her daughter Angela. So I'll hand it over to both of you.
Okay, thanks, Vanessa. Thanks everybody for joining us. I was diagnosed in November 2013 with the high-grade serous epithelial cancer stage 4, and initially I thought it was my irritable bowel because I'd had that since I'd had my last baby, and I even rang up the gastroenterologist and he said, oh, maybe you need to go on the FODMAP diet. Anyway, the symptoms sort of increased and my stomach swelled up like I was about 4 months pregnant. I had a little bit of nausea. I was wanting to urinate more frequently. I was lethargic. I was a shift worker and I kind of put down some of those things to those symptoms. But when my stomach swelled up and I went to put my uniform pants on in the morning and I thought, oh my gosh, there's more to this. So I went to the doctor, I got a referral, I got a CA125 blood test and I got a transvaginal ultrasound which had a good look into the ovaries. It's a probe that they insert into the vagina and they can have a really good look at the ovaries as opposed to just doing a normal ultrasound. Now then they discovered I had the cancer on the left ovary. I had 1.5 litres of fluid in my right lung. I had nodules on my liver and the fluid. So then I had to go and have the fluid drained off prior to surgery. I had the debulking surgery. I also had the omentum removed, which is the breeding ground for cancer. And the professors that did the surgery thought this would be a good preventative measure because even though there was no cancer in the omentum, it can still be a breeding ground. So that was taken out. Then I had 18 weeks of chemotherapy, carboplatin and paclitaxel. I had a bit of a hiccup along the way with having had one blood transfusion, but everything came back to normal. And then at the end of that, I kept on, at the beginning and the end, I kept asking my oncologist, could I go on a drug trial? And she said, well, first of all, you need to have chemotherapy before you do anything to get rid of this cancer. So at the end of the 18 weeks, my CA125 went down to 24 from 900. Originally, it was diagnosed, it was 900, the CA125 went down to 24. And then I said to my oncologist, can I go on a drug trial? She said, well, look, I'll refer you to Professor, but I'm not aware there are any trials going at the moment. So about 3 weeks after I finished treatment, I got a phone call from my oncologist and she said, Vicki, you're still interested in this trial? And I said, yes. So she said, well, can you get down to the Women's Hospital this week? They need to run scans, blood tests, etc., see if you fit the criteria. So we went to the Women's Hospital. I had CT, chest, abdominal, pelvic scan. I had blood tests and all this sort of thing. And also I do have BRCA1 and BRCA2 mutation as also a pass to my daughter, unfortunately. So then the professor said, well, look, you need to read this document. It was a 28-page document. And it tells you what side effects you may have, how it may affect you. And then if you agree with all this and you agree to commit to going to monthly appointments, taking the medication, having the CT scans and the blood tests and everything to monitor along the way. And maybe sometimes you do have to travel because we live on the Central Coast and we travel into Sydney. And if you're committed to doing all that, and I'll go for it because with the high-grade serous epithelial cancer, if you rely wholly and solely on chemotherapy, then eventually it becomes resistant and it no longer works. So you need to look outside the box. You need to look at drug trials and it's just working wonders with so many women, as you've just heard. And I really see it as a way moving forward, and it's the only way, because I did have a cousin. She had ovarian cancer. This was over 16 years ago now, and she had to rely wholly and solely on chemo, and unfortunately she passed away. So I'm really encouraging people to get out there, push. You need to push for the drug trial. You don't necessarily get it given to you. You have to push for it and say, I want to do it. Keep ringing up, doing research on the computer. There's an app now you can get to search for drug trials. Just keep asking, and it depends on the time frame, because I was so lucky. It was only like 3 days that I had to get into this drug trial, and I made it because I matched the criteria. I agreed to commit to it, and I've been very positive all the way along. At the beginning of the drug trial, I did get a bit of nausea. My hemoglobin did go down a little bit. Even though we didn't know if I was on sugar tablet or the real tablet. Professor said, look, your symptoms he doesn't even know either what it is. And he said, look, if you can persevere after about 6 weeks, symptoms should settle down. So that's exactly what I did. I persevered, and everything's just settled down. Now I can just say I have some fatigue, but I managed that through exercise, a good diet, and resting when necessary. I may have to have a rest in the afternoon, just lay down for an hour or so. I don't actually go to sleep. I might read a book or watch TV or do meditation or something like that. Also, I go for a walk on the beach every morning. That's all part of it, because with the drug trial, you have to look after your whole body. You have to look after your diet and everything. You can't just take a drug trial and think, oh, good, I can drink, I can do this, I can do that. I don't drink or smoke or do any of those things, but I would advise people, if they were serious about the drug trial, just to stick to a healthy diet and try to be as healthy as possible for it to work. I guess have a look if there's anything else I needed to say. So going on this trial, for me, it's been hope. Like, it's taken away a lot of anxiety, because I know that so far I've gone really well with the trial. I haven't had a reoccurrence, and it's been a very, very positive outcome for me. So as I say, I advise any woman to look out there for drug trials, because my experience has been so positive. And if I didn't have that, I would have so much anxiety, it wouldn't be funny. So it's just a matter of stepping outside the circle, outside the square. I have a lot of friends who were in my ovarian cancer group, but they mainly just stuck to chemotherapy, and that didn't work out for them. And they were too frightened to go on the drug trial. They were so fear of the unknown and all this sort of stuff, and side effects and everything like that. But I basically said to my husband, look, I'm a stage 4 anyway, so what have I got to lose? And he agreed. And the big thing with drug trials is you need to have your partner, your family support you on it too. And my husband was so very supportive, where sometimes ladies' husbands, they don't want to go on it. They think it's going to do something terrible, or it's not going to work, or something like that. You just have to be willing to put yourself out there. And I'm so glad I did. And you do need that support around with family, though. That makes a big difference. But the whole reason I went on the drug trial was to extend my life. And the thing is that the longer you can go without having chemotherapy, then the more you extend your life, because if you just rely solely on chemotherapy, then you might get a recurrence back in 6 or 12 months or 2 years, and then it will become more frequent. that if you can extend that time period between chemotherapy and not having it, maybe you can spend it for 2 or 3 years or more, then when you have to go back to chemotherapy, it's going to work. It's going to be more effective. If you haven't had it for 3 weeks, so your body's sort of it's gone out of the system. So that's how it works. It will extend your life, and the longer it goes on extending your life on the drug trial, then the less likely you are to have that reoccurrence. So I can only say positive about it. I think that's really all. I wanted to let my daughter Angela just say how she felt about me going on the trial.
Hi everyone. Well, I guess for me, I guess a big call out is that Mum's here. So when Mum was diagnosed 6 years ago, after the first sort of few months, I didn't think that I would even have a mum, sort of at this time. I remember making deals with the devil, just begging to have my mum here, even to reach her 60th birthday. And we're going to be celebrating that this Sunday. But, yeah. So I guess for us, my mum's my best friend. She's everything to me, and she is like a second mother to my 4 children. And so seeing my mum in a really vulnerable state and not being really well was really difficult. And I guess having this, or her being accepted into the drug trial is just like a lifeline. It's like a phone a friend. It gave us hope. And I think for Mum, it wasn't just that she was, going to be on this drug trial, but I think mentally just being accepted into it, because it was a little bit of a challenge, and it was her knocking on doors and constantly asking questions and asking if she was suitable and if there was anything available. So for her to be accepted, that was the first big tick. And I think mentally that just really got her in the right headspace. And then obviously the medication and the fantastic medical team and things like that sort of allowed her body to receive the drug well, or we think it's the right drug. So she's still here, and she's healthy, and we're just really appreciative of it. So I guess I'm just really grateful that my mum was one of those types of people that just asked further questions and just asked what else was available out there, because it means that I still have my mum and still my best mate, and the kids still have mum as well. Yes, so that's all. That's all. Well, thank you both so much for giving up your time. I know you're on holiday, and yes, celebrating Vicky's 60th. Happy birthday, Vicki. We hope you have a wonderful week. Just wonderful to see you looking just so well, and yeah, happy birthday for this weekend. Just before you go, someone has written, thanks so much, Vicki. Hearing your experience has been very helpful. Wishing you so much health and happiness in the future. I think that was from someone called Nicole. So thanks, Nicole. Mark has asked what drug is Vicki on, with olaparib. And just another question, Vicki, you mentioned an app that lists some clinical trials. Do you know the name of that app?
Yeah, it's I'll just have to look on my phone. I can actually email it to you if you want. My oncology nurse actually emailed it to me, or she texted it to me, and I've got it on the front of my phone. And it's Clinical Trial Refer Oncology New South Wales. That I can send it to you also. But it's really good. All you do is put in your search, what you're searching for, ovarian cancer, and it shows you all the hospitals that are doing trials at the moment. And
is that just for New South Wales? Is that just in New South Wales?
Yeah, that's for New South Wales, but there are other, like Melbourne and that, I think they've got their own app. This is a New South Wales one. Also, there's one for breast cancer trials as well. And it's an app, but I can send it through to you. But I think every state has probably got their own clinical trial searching tool.
Right. So what was it?
Great.
Okay, it was called Refer.
It's called Clin Trial, so CLIN Trial Refer Oncology New South Wales.
Okay, fantastic.
And that's general
Great.
because you can search for all cancer, all, you know.
You've been able to find a trial for one of our relatives just recently on there. So.
Hooray, sister. So she had metastatic breast cancer, and I've found trials at St Vincent's and at the Anne at Woonga, and she's actually going there this week. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much again. We won't give up any more of your time. We really appreciate it. And once again, a big happy birthday, Vicki. We hope you have a wonderful week.
Thank you.
Make it the year. Make it a birthday year.
Yeah.
Big year celebration. So once again, I'd just like to say a big thank you to our speakers, Dr. Yolande Antil, Dr. Tarak Manyawi and Vicki Sidoti. We really appreciate the information that you have shared and the time that you've given us this evening. Thank you everyone for being on the webinar. We really hope that you found it valuable. Like I said earlier, the recording will be posted on the Ovarian Cancer Australia website in the next couple of weeks, and you will receive an email with a link to the recording of the webinar in the next few days. If you have any other questions that you would like addressed, please don't hesitate to contact our information and support line on 1300 660 334. So thank you again, everyone, for joining the webinar. We hope to see you for our next webinar in June, which will be on genetics and ovarian cancer. Enjoy your evening. Goodbye.